Because let me share with you exactly what I mean. What these folks want to call radical, I believe, is common sense. I think that in the wealthiest nation in the history of the world, if a person gets sick, they shouldn't go bankrupt. I believe that a minimum wage should cover the minimum cost to live. Common sense. And Tucson, I believe that homes are not slot machines for investors and big banks to extort working families out of every last dollar that we have. Home is sacred, and you deserve a government that fights to help you keep an affordable roof over your head. And finally, I believe that our elected officials should take on abuse of corporate power everywhere that we find it. We must get big money out of politics and make clear that our country is not for sale. That's why I don't and never will take money from industry lobbyists or corporations. And some folks, maybe some local members of Congress out here or some pundits on television might have you believe that these American values are something out of the Communist Manifesto. And that we believe these things because we went to some fancy school and read them in a book somewhere. But I can tell you, we don't believe in healthcare, labor, and human dignity because we're extremists. And I don't believe these things because I'm an extremist. I believe these things because I was a waitress, Tucson. Because I scrubbed toilets with my mom to afford school. Because I've worked double shifts to keep the lights on. Because I did lose my dad to cancer as a kid and had to see my mom open the hospital bills a couple days after. And I know that we don't have to live like this anymore, Tucson. I don't want to live like this anymore, and we deserve better than this. And it's not just about Republicans. We need a Democratic Party that fights harder for us, too. And that means communities choosing and voting for those Democrats and elected officials who know how to stand for the working class. In Arizona, I want to thank you for working so hard to continue to make that happen. It was Tucson that sent a man like Raul Grijalva to Congress. And I know that you will continue to make us proud in Congress as well. In fact, one thing I love about Arizonans is that you all have shown that if a U.S. Senator isn't fighting hard enough for you in the Senate or elsewhere, you're not afraid to replace her with one who will and win. And that's how you got Mark Kelly and Ruben Gallego. And that's not all. Last week, when other Democrats caved in the Senate, your senators stood strong against the D.C. pressure and voted no against a Republican spending bill that cuts billions for the working class. Arizona stood up. Arizona had a spine last week, and I thank you. In fact, all the Democrats who represent a congressional district in Arizona also voted against the bill. So I want to shout out Representatives Yasmin Ansari and Greg Stanton for their courage. Defend them, Arizona, but don't stop there. Because you know who did vote to gut Medicaid and jack up health care costs? Every single Republican in the state of Arizona, including Representative Schweikert. So you know what that means. You know what our mission is here, right? This whole state needs to come together and give Schweikert the boot and replace him with a Democrat who fights for the working class. That's our mission for the next year, and it doesn't stop there. Every down ballot race matters. This fascist administration didn't come from anywhere. They have planted the seeds for years. PTAs, bullying people out of school boards, city councils. It's time to put our glasses on. We got an Air Force show out here. They're our backup today. We need to pay attention to every local race on the ballot, Arizona. We're taking the state over. We're taking it back. And we're going to fight for the future that we deserve. Si se puede. Vamos a hacerlo. Lo vamos a lograr.